The residents of Thohoyandou in Limpopo want ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa to urgently attend to the problem of lack of water in the Vembe district. They also want proper roads, saying children are unable to get to school during the rainy season. Ramaphosa was campaigning in the ANC's stronghold at the weekend, where he promised that the ANC will do better going forward.
Vari madi chimwe chipinga ajia maduva asiyo atovhurerwa une avhurerwa hone adha naone achida haadinga chipinga chine mutu atoga vadhova vari mudzagasi naone una load shedding inji asizonekana zvinhu zvimwe zvevanida ngazodisa uri vana vavo avashumi avana mishumo vana vavo vari vana vavo voguda voya zvikoloni rovavudza uri nazo hezo zote sangano la ANC liyazvidiva ende rikozozvirukira spara hounoni ane rakozomuvhotera ndiyene ane afanira uri arukise hezvi zvamadzi vaniranga dzindira uri mvura ichina vana matope dzindira dzichimbirei asizone na.
Our political parties making promises to voters ahead of the local government elections. COSATU and the SACP have been called upon to hold the ANC accountable for keeping its promises after the elections. SACP General Secretary Dr. Blade Nzimande made these comments. Nzimande added that his party and Labour Federation COSATU will take over the oversight role from opposition parties and demand that the ANC fulfill all the promises it made while on the campaign trail. To talk to me about this, I'm joined now by SACP spokesperson Dr. Alex Mashilo and COSATU President Zingiswa Losi. Good evening to you both, and thank you very much for your time. Losi joining us on the line, and Alex, of course, coming to us via Skype. This, of course, Zingiswa Losi, is because you are load shedding at this particular point, and that's why you cannot come on and be on the line with us. Proving again some of the major challenges that this government of the ANC has been faced with at ESCOM, one of the SOEs. But not only that, you just have to open the news on a daily basis. Continued coverage of the extent of corruption at government institutions. How do you justify getting the workers to support the ANC despite these glaring failures that you are dealing with even as we speak?
Thank you very much, Thabo, and I must also greet Comrade Alex on Skype and the listeners and the viewers of Newzroom Afrika. Indeed, we said that we support the African National Congress, which it is a decision that has been reaffirmed by the Central Committee of COSATU. And workers have done an assessment. They looked at the failures, but they also looked at the achievements that they were able to attain under the government of the ANC. And having looked at that, workers took a decision in the Central Committee and said that the ANC is still relevant for us as workers in South Africa, particularly under the leadership of COSATU, to still put our weight behind the African National Congress. We have all spoken many a times about our achievements as workers under the ANC leadership. You would have known about the progress that we have made at the level of network. In Parliament, the bills that have been passed because of the work that we have been doing at the level of Parliament with committees of the ANC at the level of network, but also within the tripartite alliance. So part of these achievements, it is what workers have said that the achievements outweigh the frustrations that we have. And we're not saying those frustrations do not have any value in them, but we are saying we know that other political parties, I don't want to mention because we're not talking about them, but we know as workers that they have promised us that if they were to take over, the first thing that they're going to do is to undo all these achievements by firstly dealing Commissions Act in this country, amending that part of the labor laws, because they believe that the trade unions in this country have more power. So that's just, in summary, part of the reason why we continue as workers having made an assessment to say the ANC is the relevant political party that we are going to put our weight behind them.
Dr. Alex, one of the primary tasks of the Central Committee of 2017, or at least what they identified as key issues: one, to build the ANC; two, to fix the unions that are under COSATU. And that would have been the only reason why you would still continue to support this organization. Have you fixed those two things?
Indeed, let's start with the African National Congress and greetings to the president of COSATU. By the way, we worked at the same company previously as sub-steward at that company. Our relationship with the ANC is not a transactional relationship. It is a relationship that is anchored in two pillars. Firstly, like you are talking to myself, I am myself a member of the ANC like other members of the SACP. So the ANC is our organization. It is not this or that other organization. We do not relate to it as an external organization. The second pillar of our relationship with the ANC is that we are in the alliance with the ANC. So there is a relationship of mutual influence. The ANC became stronger over the years, not because only of the work that was done by its members who were not members of the SACP, but also of the work done by the communists to build it. Now, the ANC, like all living organisms, individuals and families, has internal challenges. And it will take all its members and alliance partners, as well as the electorate who support the ANC on the ballot, to fix it and to build it, to develop it to be even stronger than it was yesterday and today is, going forward to the future, so that it can achieve its historical mission of completing the liberation of the formerly oppressed of our country, building a non-racial, non-sexist society. With the unions, it has also been equally tough. You are talking about independent organizations that have internal democratic processes. What we have seen so far is stabilization after the challenges that the unions experience. So we expect the union movement to grow, having seen the unions stabilize. Of course, we are working together with COSATU as well as its federations. Yeah. We have made a call that we need to come together to build a popular left front, because we should consider campaigning for the ANC and voting for the ANC as but two steps in a single process. Having voted for the African National Congress, as our General Secretary said, we still need to maintain a high level of organization to ensure that things move in the right direction. You would, as well as other South Africans, appreciate that all major turnarounds in our movement, when things went wrong in the government, were due to the alliance holding the movement to account. Yeah. For example, it was the SACP that put forward the analysis that there was state capture in South Africa. Yeah. It was the SACP that played a leading role in the far front of defeating that problem. Yeah. We are now working together with the entire alliance to dismantle it all together. That's the role we must continue playing.
But Alex, be genuine with us, and I'll be genuine with your constituency, looking at us straight in the eye. If the intra-alliance political debates that are currently ongoing were driven into the domain of electoral contest, would the ANC survive?
The ANC, as it says in its strategy and tactics, and it admits to this very well, it says that the ANC is not a leader only of its members. It is not a leader only of its leaders. It is a leader of the tripartite alliance, and it is the leading force of the South African society who put the ANC into power. So it will take not only members of the ANC, but the entire alliance and all other people who support the ANC to get things right. If many of the battles we fought to get things right as the alliance and as members of the ANC were only internal battles, things would not have taken the good direction that they would have taken, because you would have reduced the strength that you needed to place things into the right path.
Dr. Alex Mashilo, speaking on behalf of the SACP, President of COSATU, Zingi Solosi. They stay on with us, and we'll continue in a moment with this conversation. Let me hear your views. Both alliance partners throwing their weight behind the ANC in these upcoming local government elections. Do you think the partners are genuine in their position or disposition of championing the interests of their constituency? We're speaking to the alliance partners with less than 6 days left to go before the local government elections. Both alliance partners throwing their weight, maybe you would say COSATU reluctantly so, but the SACP as well saying we will be the ones playing the oversight role more than the opposition parties. Your views tonight on 072-110-5584. Zingi, so I'm going to put the same question that I put to Alex before we went to the break, right? Pop Crew, for example, laments the weakening electoral performance of the ANC. Nahau says ANC's neoliberal perspective is gaining more momentum within the party, and particularly within its leaders. NUM says ANC's weakening electoral performance is becoming a challenge. Also, corruption within his ranks becoming a challenge. The Communication Workers Union saying that the opposition are winning workers away from the ANC. The question is, if these internal alliance debates were taken to the electoral contest, do you think the ANC would survive?
It will survive, because remember, Thabo, the views of the trade union are those views that has led us to make that assessment and make the conclusion that we've made. But also must remember, because there's this tendency at times, and I must clarify it, of when COSATU unions meet and take a decision and the leadership of the federation make pronouncement on those decisions, it is then termed to be the decision of the top 6 of COSATU and not that of its affiliates. COSATU national office bearers are only implementing the decision that has been made by the structure. So the different views that you are raising on different issues that the unions are raising are issues that they have raised internally in the federation. But of course, you are pointing to some weaknesses, which we have acknowledged. But overall, we have made that assessment and said, because sometimes it is not about only the public sector unions. It is also about a farm worker. It is about a domestic worker sitting somewhere. It is about a truck driver. It is about a worker in a retail company and the one that is not employed, the one that would want to join the labor market. So when you look into those things, and the communities that workers are coming from, and when you look at the achievements that we have attained under the leadership of the African National Congress, as I say, it outweighs some of the challenges that exist. The neoliberal policies are everything that COSATU has always spoken about, and we must also appreciate and understand that some of these issues that we are going to be talking about consistently are issues that can be resolved when we move away from the current system that we are at, which is the capitalist system. Until we move away from the capitalist system and we go to a socialist state, we would be beginning to change our language and our problems of how we're looking at them and resolving them. For as long as we have a capitalist system, and the ANC has never said it is for socialism. The ANC said it pursues a national democratic revolution, which is the shortest route to socialism, and the party will take us to socialism. So we must understand also the context and the party that is in power and it is governing in the kind of a state. So these issues are issues that workers in South Africa and those that are organized under COSATU understand. That is why ours is to also follow the South African Communist Party as a vanguard of the working class, which workers are part of that class, to socialism. And we believe that it is a party that will be able to take us to socialism. Yeah. But in the current state we're at, the ANC is the party that is in government, but with the achievements under the contradictions of capitalism, we are pleased with what we have achieved, and we understand and appreciate that a lot more needs to be done.
What do you think are the prospects of success of a call by Nehau that the alliance would need to be reconfigured and maybe investigate the ANC's position as leader of this alliance? I mean, in simple terms, to say maybe they should not be the ones who continue to lead this alliance.
It is not the views of Nehau. Those are the views of COSATU. The reconfiguration of the alliance, it is a COSATU decision. We have taken it years ago. We have said we want a reconfigured alliance. Remember, when we came out of the 13th National Congress in 2018, COSATU, amongst other issues, said we're going to pursue a reconfiguration of the alliance. And we work with the SACP in ensuring that. And we have already gone afar in putting together a document that speaks to these issues. And COSATU National Congress even said, in the next coming election, which are these ones and the general elections, after our Congress, before the next Congress, which is next year, if the ANC is not moving ahead and we're able to see progress on the reconfiguration of the alliance, we would then, if the party is ready, the SACP, to contest election, COSATU will mobilize for the victory of the South African Communist Party. But the party has not pronounced on that matter. Yeah. And therefore, the discussion in the Central Committee of COSATU was very clear that in September, that the ANC remains the party, the political party that we are going to put our weight behind. And as we move towards our National Congress, which will make another assessment and take a decision. It can take a decision to say, having made an assessment now, we're in a National Congress, we don't want anything to do with the ANC, or we don't want anything to do with the alliance, or we think that the party now must pronounce on it, contesting the elections and taking us forward. And the COSATU will then support the SACP. But the SACP is not there as yet, and also COSATU has put its weight behind the African National Congress. So it is not a COSATU, it's not a Nehau position, but it is a COSATU position.
Dr. Alex Mashilo, having contested the by-elections in Metsi Mahulu, does the SACP not feel they have enough power, or at least popular support, to be a powerful political force all on their own?
Let me emphasize the philosophy of unity that we follow, which is the philosophy that was behind our victory against apartheid forces. If we were divided, we would not have achieved victory over the apartheid forces. And South Africa is littered with examples of political parties that did not unite, that broke down, and today many of them are non-existent, they are not on the ballot. The SACP, as a vanguard movement, cannot decide in its brain that it is ready without the working class that it represents being ready. This is because the SACP is not a party only of its leaders and members. Its readiness is right in the ranks of the working class. From a working class perspective, it is the working class that generates the mandate to move forward. So we will not leave the working class alone and move without its mandate. The mandate of the working class is crucial, which is what we did in Metsi Mahulu. We did not move alone. We were with the working class. Remember that in that municipality, over 300 workers were dismissed. There were too many problems, which is why in the list of the SACP members who contested the elections, we had other people who were not necessarily SACP members, because this was a front anchored in community struggles. So every step that the SACP made must not be for the SACP. It must be a step with and for the working class and the poor. At this moment, we are working together in support of the African National Congress, not as that other organization, but as an organization we ourselves belong to. What we want to achieve, I wish to emphasize, is a reconfiguration of the alliance to strengthen its strategic relevance, to strengthen its centrality, to make sure that we not only vote for the ANC, but we hold and play a leading role in holding the government to account. It will be when things have broken down irretrievably, when the ANC is not salvageable, when it has fallen into corrupt hands that do not serve the people, where we will come back and say, how do we move forward different? But so far, we are committed to the reconfiguration of the alliance, and we are not a liberal party. We cannot convene a meeting of our own and decide without a mandate of the working class that this is the path we are going to take.
My question, Dr. Alex, was a little bit more direct. Looking at the results of the by-elections at Metsimaholo, do they tell you you are ready to be on your own, or don't they tell you?
Those results, following which the mayor in Metsimaholo was a councillor of the SACP, they tell their own story. But we are not opportunists. Yeah. The reason why we stood for elections there was because of an assessment we conducted on the ground, which said that there is no way we can go to the ballot and vote for a local government that fired over 300 workers. No, we can't do like that. We are not going to do those. So that is why we contested there. We can't say because we won seats in Metsimaholo, therefore let us go universally like that. It is important to still build unity and not conduct a revolution on the basis of opportunism, but we must conduct revolution on the basis of principle. So far we are agreed that this is how we will move. If we agree, there is no reason to move away from the agreement.
Yeah. For all intents and purposes, one would say you drained the votes of your ally, the ANC, in Metsimaholo. And what is stopping you from doing that in other municipalities?
Remember, if I were to repeat, Thabo, in Metsimaholo, you had over 300 workers who were fired by the local municipality. And the local municipality, following engagements, refused to reinstate those workers. We said we cannot, as a working class party, go and campaign for these people who fired the same workers to go back to power. No, we are taking this battle right through the ballot, because we spoke to them and the engagement did not bear any fruit. That's why we stood for elections there, and we made it clear that this was a special resolution.
Public sector bargaining resolution, a big issue. I mean, COSATU coming to you and saying, SACP, you need to support us in this thing, because clearly this is a fight that we need to wage against the governing party at this particular point in time. I mean, is that not one of those issues that could certainly make you want to go at it on your own?
We know, all of us, that we live in a country that is facing a global economic and pandemic crisis. In addition, we came in support of the public sector workers. The national government did not throw the workers into the river. We established a process of engagement, and so far as we speak, through the exercise of their independence, the unions took the matter to court, and we supported them. We are going to support them until the end of the road on this matter. So we have not reached the end of the road on this one.
Now, if I were to ask you a more direct question, the uncertainty in the ANC still exists. The deep, tense divisions inside the ANC that existed before Nasrec are still there. Are you at all concerned that this will affect the performance of the party in the local government elections?
We are concerned. We are concerned. We are concerned about problems in the ANC. There is our producer who is testing the audio. With Lungile.
Apologies. You can go ahead, Dr. Alex.
He is a worker. You see, we represent that worker. We can't move without him. So that's the principle. That's our philosophy. We are concerned about problems in the ANC, but we do not want to look at those problems from a distance. That's why we ourselves as ANC members are involved in sorting those problems out. That's why we are involved as the alliance in sorting those problems out. There will always be frictions given the broad character of the ANC. Remember there, you have people representing and coming from all walks of life and classes, and there would be those who would wish to use the ANC to achieve their interests. What matters at the end of the day is whether the balance of forces moves in the right direction. What we saw between 2017 and now is that the ANC has moved in the right direction, and it is united, relatively speaking, compared to the division in dismantling state capture, in fighting corruption, and in saving the people. But the ANC and all of us, yourself included, are facing a serious economic crisis, which is not an internal crisis, it's a global crisis. We need to unite and work together to overcome the situation. There is no way we will ever be not concerned about problems. When there are problems, we must admit them. When there are weaknesses, we must acknowledge them, but we must come together and rectify those weaknesses.
Dr. Alex Mashila, appreciate your time. Zingiselo is the president of COSATU. Thank you very much for joining us on the line as well.